Hey guys, this is Anan with, I'm proud to say, my very first Leopard 1 ace. I love this tank a lot, but for some reason it's taken me a little while to get. The bar is set fairly high on this tank. So I am on Black Goldville, and when I spawn in on this side, I remembered a conversation I was having with Sir Ramsalot in Storm recently about how he's been running behind the back of town to get some sniping shots up early in the game in his RU-251 because it lets you bail out if you get into trouble. And so I was thinking that the Leopard one plays pretty similar, so why not give that strategy a shot? So that's what I'm going to do, with the mindset that if I see pretty much any tank whatsoever as I'm heading back here, I'm going to tuck tail and run away because this is just not a brawling tank. And but if it works out, it will let me either stop some of their TDs from reaching the caves on the rest of our team, and hopefully get some nice sniping shots, which is what the Leopard 1 really sings at. So I don't know that this is a strategy you'd want to use for every tank, but it luckily works for me pretty well. You can see some of the telltale server lag that we've all been getting. I think most of us have been getting since this update, but I just kind of have to work through it. So luckily, I don't see any tanks in town, and now I can use this bush and cover to get some really nice early damage on their team, and it also starts to make any of their TDs or anything I shoot a little bit nervous and start to move around a bit, and it gives my own team a lot more advantage up at caves if they can't if their team can't move into the exact position they want. So I'm going for tracking shots. Unfortunately that hits but doesn't get damage. And then this one doesn't track, but at least gets his engine. So I'm trying to get rid of this really, really great tank right off the bat. Unfortunately, I can't get him before he scoots away, but I'm still really able to kind of work these corners here with the just absolute laser gun that this Leo one has. This is what makes this tank so great, the relocation ability and the laser gun that it has. So I'm just kind of intentionally slow playing it at this point. I saw a couple tanks start to move down to start to flank our team, so I'm going to keep that in mind kind of as it goes. As I'm trying to find a shot on this E100, I see that a tank pops up and spots me just for a second at their spawn. And so there means there's someone hiding back kind of in that telltale location. I haven't taken the time to look over at him yet, just because if he was going to shoot at me, he would have hit me already, and so I would have ran out. So instead I'm going to do what I came here for and get some of these shots on. So I do know that pretty much any time at this point I roll forward, I'm going to be spotted, but it's just part of how this is going to work. We're unfortunately down by a tank because they were able to flank us, so now that I can see that it's the IS-7 hold down, there's no way I'm going to be able to take him one-on-one in that location. He's just too strong, but his gun isn't a huge threat, so instead I decide to go and start helping our flank. We have a TD sitting at spawn, and I haven't taken the time to look to see if he's AFK or just not being helpful, but honestly it doesn't really matter at this point. I assume he's AFK because he's not getting shots on the Tiger 2, so that's what I decide to work on. This is going to pull a gun away from the E100 that I still have up in caves and has done a fairly good job of staying alive, and actually has a really, really great game himself. So I'm going to get rid of this gun so I can continue moving on and put the numbers more in our favor. I'm considering us still down a tank at this point because I'm pretty confident that Yag Tiger is AFK. So the other Tiger 2 pops up at a convenient time, so it lets me take and work on him next. And I'm taking a little bit of shots here, mostly because I don't want to waste the time to get in a more advantageous position. That was a terrible, terrible RNG bounce. I wasn't planning on taking that second shot, but it just kind of happened. But either way, I was able to finish him off, and now we have it down to 2 in a much better position, so I can book it up and try and help my E100 with the other E100 here. He gets out just in time. So I wasn't able to shoot him that first period and get a little bit of a gun bounce there, so I missed the second one. But I'm also being very careful because I've low enough health that a higher HE roll would get me. Plus I see that the IS-7 has moved out of his perch and is coming around to the backside, so I don't want to get stuck out in the middle and take shots that I don't need to. This is still very winnable for red, especially because there's really large guns, and so I am really trying hard not to take a shot. Trying to keep him spotted so our E100 knows where he is, because he was looking at me, so I don't want to risk anything too terrible. I see the E100 is pushed on me, so it lets me run around the backside of the hill of the arch of the cave. And again, I'm being very careful. I can see him looking at me, so there's no reason to rush. And I can also see on the minimap that my E100 is caught up to me. And so I don't want to pop out and take a shot for him because I could easily get ammo racked or killed. I want him to fire first. So since they did a little exchange there, I knew I had at least a short window to get him, and he turned away long enough for me to be able to shoot him again. So the IS-7's pushed all the way up to the cave, so again I'm going to circle back around. But the IS-7 doesn't make me quite as nervous because I know outside of an ammo rack he's not going to kill me in one shot. He pretty much sells out to be able to get the E100, so I go ahead and pop adrenaline, just because sometimes the IS-7 can get around and get some shots on you, and I want to make sure that this is finished off. So I can't say this is necessarily the hardest ace I've ever got. There was a lot of moving around, and I think a lot of different strategies used, so I was really happy with it. And obviously happy with the damage total. It's one of those tanks that can really pour through it. So pretty proud of this ace, glad to have finally gotten it. And also proud of that E100. It's another really solid player, and he kept us going. So thanks a lot.